I'm going to call you Ferdy because most of us do. Ferdy, how old were you when the war broke out?
Well, I was 18 when I graduated from high school, Cathedral High School.
Mm-hmm.
That was in 1943.
1943.
Yeah.
So you were a senior in high school. What was the reaction of you and your fellow students to the outbreak of war?
Oh, it was a terrible thing. We couldn't believe how come we had allowed this to happen to our thing. How come we didn't know they were coming? But anyway, at the time, everybody was going into the service. And it was a known, as soon as you graduated from high school, either you were drafted or you enlisted into the Navy. And I didn't want to go in the Army, I wanted to go in the Navy.
You wanted to go in the Navy.
And so I joined up in the Navy, passed the physical, and then I was notified by my draft board that I had passed. And I was so happy, and my mother started to cry. She says, "How come you're so happy to leave us?" You know, of course, as a parent, you know, she was concerned, but we were going to war. I was leaving home.
You would say there was a general enthusiasm to defend
definitely.
our country.
Nobody went to Canada.
Now, there was that feeling that this was the thing to do.
Oh yeah, we
even
had to.
Even from your young high school students, huh?
We had to beat the Japs.
Yeah. So you went into basic training, and where was that located?
Sampson, New York.
In New York.
Yeah, on the Fingers Lakes.
One of the Finger Lakes up there.
Yeah, it's still there, but I think the Marines have taken it over.
Okay.
And there were sailors there galore.
And and how long did you spend there?
2 months.
2 months in basic training.
Basic
2
training.
months.
Tough. My first time away from home, it was rough. It was rough. You go to bed at night and you cry.
Yeah, you were pretty homesick.
Oh yeah.
And how many siblings? How many brothers and sisters did you?
One brother and 3 sisters.
3 sisters. And you communicated regularly, of course?
At least once a week.
Yeah.
And my mother wanted me to write every day.
Yeah. Now, when you were through with your basic, where did you go from there?
I had my only leave I've ever had, a 7-day boot leave at home. And I was a big shot here. I came home, I was Seaman 2nd class in the Navy. Oh, my father was proud of me. And then I went back to Little Creek. No, I went back to Sampson. And then from Sampson, we were assigned to Little Creek, Virginia, which was Norfolk.
Yeah.
And we was an OGU, outgoing unit, which was a temporary thing because from there you went all over the country. And what your qualifications were, what you could do, if you could dig a ditch, if you could run a car. And I was lucky I could type. So I said, hey, you'd make a good radio man. How about going to radio school? So yeah, okay. So I went to radio school.
And where was that located?
At Miami, Hamilton, Ohio.
Hamilton, Ohio.
I was going to college. My mother was so happy. Oh my gosh, he's going to college. It's Miami of Ohio.
Okay.
Big college.
Yeah.
And I was there for 6 months.
6 months, huh?
6 months.
For radio school.
Yeah. You heard the da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, you know, the Morse code. And
So you completed your kind of an advanced training now, a specialty training.
That was that was the nicest part of my whole
Your whole
Navy
military career.
Yeah,
huh?
it was nice facilities. We had 2 in a room, and this is where we met. Of course, all alphabetical, like the 3 other guys who were assigned to the LSM 129, Coons, Labrie, Labrie.
Okay.
I mean, just down the alphabetical thing.
Okay, so you finished that advanced training, and where did you go from there?
Back to Little Creek.
Back to Little Creek.
There for about 2 or 3 weeks. They had me wash latrines, garbage detail, KP,
In the
peel
meantime,
potatoes.
you're thinking the war is going by.
Oh yeah, you'd read the papers every night.
Yeah,
And as long as I was in the United States, my mother was happy.
yeah.
And then they sent her a letter that we were on our way out.
You were assigned to a ship
Yeah,
at that point.
yeah. We picked up our ship. It was brand new. It was being built in Charleston, South Carolina. Nice city, beautiful city. We picked up the LSM 129.
Now, you've got a picture of that ship, don't you, Fern?
Oh yeah, got several.
Okay. And this is, what kind of a ship is it?
Landing ship medium.
A landing ship medium.
It just about made the title of a ship, because in order to be a ship, you had to be over 200 feet. This was 210 feet, otherwise you're a boat. This is a ship.
And that would be a kind of a real step down if you were a boat instead of on a ship.
You have to be a ship.
That's important to you.
Yeah.
And what do you do in that kind of a ship?
We were assigned 8 Sherman tanks. Go up on the beach, open the doors, lower the ramp, and if you want to hear 8 Sherman tanks with no mufflers, and these kids are raring to go. They want to get out. They want to get out to the ship, and they zoom out roaring.
This is so it has essentially they coming off the back of the ship.
No, the front, the bow.
Front, the bow of the ship.
It's ramped down.
A ramp falls down
and we, of course, we had to make sure that we didn't drop them in the 18 feet of water. We had to go on the beach.
Yeah.
And then we didn't want to go high enough so that when they were off, we had to get out. We had to back up and get out.
So it's really a touchy operation then to come in
and we're all green.
Yeah.
Never been in there.
And this is a brand new ship, brand new crew.
Yeah.
And how many in your crew?
52.
52.
Yeah.
So you took the ship out. Here's another one. It's not quite as good as the big one that you have there.
Yeah.
So you must have had a trial period with the ship.
Breakdown cruise, and we were green, and we took other crews out to teach them. We didn't know any more than they did.
And what year was this?
43.
43.
Just out of high school.
So June, July, maybe August of 43.
Middle of July.
And where did you go for your trial run?
Oh, off Cape Hatteras.
Oh, okay.
Rough waters.
Yeah.
And
So you did some landing there on the outer islands, did you?
Yeah. On the beach.
And how long did that shakedown cruise last?
Just a couple of weeks.
A couple of weeks.
Oh yeah, they wanted us in the South Pacific.
So from there, you went. Did you go across the canal?
Yeah, from there we went to Norfolk. Let's see, Key West, Florida.
Yeah.
Our final for food and fuel, oil tank, fresh water, and then we went through the canal. That's quite an experience. We had an overnight leave to go to the canal, and sailors all over the place.
Yeah.
But the canals were really something. It's half the guys went back.
Quite an experience.
With their wives.
Yeah.
With the canal.
So now you're into the Pacific.
We're leaving the Pacific, and
And where are you heading for?
Bora Bora.
Bora Bora.
Part of the Society Islands, and it's a French. It was a French possessions.
Yeah.
So I was on duty when we landed. And then we had 27 or 28 days without seeing land, without seeing a ship, and we had to hit this little island, out of nowhere, and we could have missed it and kept on going to China, but we hit it dead on. Then when the yell went out at 4 o'clock in the morning, land ho! Could see that on, and everybody breathed a sigh of relief.
Now I'm thinking in terms of the the draft on a flat boat like that.
Flat
you
boat.
must have been bouncing around on that ocean.
A floating bathtub.
Must
We only drew 4 feet of water, loaded.
loaded 4 feet of
4
water.
feet of water.
In the you're fortunate you didn't run into any storms, or did you?
Later on, not there. Oh, the Pacific was beautiful, blue.
Weren't you lucky?
Yeah, but it was monotonous, and I'd spend my days when I was off at the bow. We had porpoises that would follow the wake. That was beautiful.
No encounters with Japanese?
No.
No. Where you?
Not there.
Was security very tight in terms of observation for subs, Japanese ships, or didn't you anticipate encountering them?
No, we did not there.
No, okay. And Bora Bora in the South Pacific?
South Pacific.
And the purpose there was to reload, was it?
Refuel.
Refuel?
Reload, get new fresh supplies. We had good food. We had oranges, apples.
Yeah.
The Marines would come ashore that we'd pick up later on, and boy, were you guys lucky. And we slept in a dry bed.
Yeah.
These guys slept in mud. They had it tough.
Yeah.
Talk to Griffin about that sometime.
Yeah.
It was rough.
I'd like to hear what happened after Bora Bora.
But when I was on duty at Bora Bora, I was in the radio shack. The radio shack is right here.
Okay.
Right above the thing. And they come on and say, "Hey, Labrie, some of your relatives are out here. They're speaking, I think they speak French." So I went out, and sure and heck, they spoke a French, a dialect. And I would say, "Lentement, slow down." And they'd slow down, and of course, the important thing, the girls were topless.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah. So it was quite an attraction.
You were sorry to leave that island?
Yes, we were definitely. But they were nice people, French, accommodating. They liked us because we brought business to them.
Yes.
And the water was clear, blue, real nice.
Yeah.
We'd go fishing. We'd take a grenade, drop it in the water, boom, and the fish would come floating up to the surface.
I don't think that would be permitted today.
No.
All right, so you're leaving Bora Bora.
Bora Bora.
Yeah, and you're heading where?
Espiritu Santo, Tulagi, Manas.
Where were these islands?
All
These
in the
are
South Pacific.
all in the South Pacific. Still heading west?
Our goal was to get to the Philippines.
You're
That was
heading for the
next
Philippines.
next big staging.
Okay.
We had gotten Guadalcanal, Subic Bay, Manila.
Are you encountering Japanese?
No. Oh, no.
No, still not. Huh?
Still not.
No?
Then when we left New Guinea, we were in a convoy. Probably been 30, 40 landing ships, LSTs, which were 100 feet longer than ours, bigger than ours, and loaded with soldiers, troops, and the soldiers brought their trucks, their equipment,
Essentially
their cooks.
troop carriers. You're a tank carrier.
Yeah,
Huh?
yeah. And we had our tanks, and then we were 3 days out of New Guinea when they spotted a torpedo heading our way. And man, hey, your heart is beating, you know.
Is that your first encounter with the Japanese?
Yes.
It was.
Yeah.
And the first encounter you have is that there's a sub heading your way.
Yeah. Well, heading our way. There was a sub, and he had fired a torpedo coming right at us. It went right underneath the ship. It missed it, but it hit an LST, 400 or 500 feet.
Is that right? They assume that you had a deeper draft than you did? And
Yeah, I don't know, but
just a
right underneath.
matter of luck.
Oh, yeah. And then it hit an LST, and it split it right in half, where the aft portion sunk right away with most of the crew, because the engines were there, and then the bow was floating on an angle, full with the soldiers. Some were in the water. Our bosun's mate, Sterling, received a commendation. He dumped in the water, and he saved a half a dozen guys, got them onto the cargo net to get them on board.
You brought them on board your ship.
Yeah, we didn't have the facilities to keep them. We
Yeah.
had them stretched out between the tanks on the deck. And there's guys with missing legs, missing arms, you know, it just... And there's one way up at the bow, there's this soldier, he had his dog, a little chihuahua, a little dog, and the dog was barking, and both climbed up on the front end of the ship that was sinking or lopsided, and he picked up the dog and brought it back. The guy started to cry, and he was so happy.
So happy to get his
you
dog
saved
back.
his dog back. I don't know how come he was allowed to have a dog.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
But
so you're heading towards the Philippines?
oh yeah. So now, you know, the commander of the convoy said, seeing we're so close, to stand by, tie up to the wreck, and save the survivors.
Yeah.
So stay behind, and you know, now you can see all these ships leaving us, our destroyer escorts, and we're sitting ducks in the water, and we knew there was a submarine around.
Yep, exactly.
This is when you took out your beads and you start praying.
Yeah. It's no longer fun, is it? Huh?
Yeah.
Not when you see a
that was our first thing.
Yeah.
It was rough. It was rough.
Now, is this the big invasion that's going into the Philippines with MacArthur?
No, it's 2-3 weeks after.
After
the initial attack.
Okay.
But our supplies were needed, and as soon as we got there, went up on the beach, unloaded our tanks.
So you ultimately caught up with the convoy that...
No,
No, you never did, huh?
No, we were all alone.
Okay. And where are you going to drop these tanks off then?
Lady.
At Lady. Okay. In the Gulf, the base there had already been established?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. And they were all happy to see the supplies.
Yeah.
They had a strong... But the equipment, unbelievable. The trucks and the tanks and the food, the men, all in tents. I mean, they didn't have any buildings, just tents, slept on the ground.
This is real war, isn't it? Huh?
Oh, yeah.
This isn't Hollywood war, this is real war.
Real stuff.
Yeah.
And you know, when you think of you're firing your guns, today my son would grab an ear protection. You know, we didn't have those then.
No, they didn't, huh?
No, they didn't.
What kind of weaponry did you have on your ship?
Twin 40s at the bow, and 1, 2, 3 22s, 22 caliber.
Yeah.
Little pea shooters.
Yeah. Could you sink a sub with that?
No,
you couldn't, huh?
Heck no.
No.
Oh, no.
Nothing there that would give you protection?
No.
So if you were attacked by a sub out in the Pacific...
Like we went later on, after being there for a year and a half, they decided that we had to go to Borneo, and I couldn't understand why we had to go to Balikpapan. And come to find out there's oil fields down there. The Japanese were still in control of Balikpapan. You know, they needed the oil.
Yeah.
So we went down there, and on our way down there, we had a load of 5-inch shells for the guns, and we tied up alongside a heavy cruiser, and we could hear the boatswain's pipe, wee, 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 wee. Small boat coming alongside. That was a small boat alongside. And one of our officers knew a guy that was on there. So the guy came on, and here the cruiser is not moving on, and we're going up and down, you know. Yeah. He was on 5 minutes. He got seasick like you wouldn't believe.
By the way, did you ever get seasick?
Oh, yeah.
You were?
Oh, yeah.
Bad. Just at the beginning or later on?
At the beginning.
At the beginning.
Coming out of Hatteras.
Okay.
Rough, real rough.
I would imagine so. Now you finally got your sea legs, and you were pretty stable after that in terms of.
But then we had typhoons in Lady. You're talking about a hurricane. This was a typhoon.
Yeah.
And you're out in the water where you go, and you're up and down, and you boom, bang, and you're trying to sleep.
Yeah. Like forget it, huh?
Yeah.
Did you? And where did you go from there? Did you see any action beyond that?
Yeah, Puerto Princesa, which is an island to the west of the Philippines. I don't know what was there, but we didn't encounter any trouble at all.
No. So that was basically your only encounter with Japanese resistances in that section?
Then we were more or less like a supply ship. All the different islands. Lady is filled with thousands of islands.
Yeah.
Mindanao, Manila.
Yeah. Aguzan. These are all islands in the Philippines.
In the Philippines,
huh? When, where were you when the war ended, Ferdy?
I was in the Philippines.
In the Philippines.
We were on our way. We had left Manila, heading up north, full of supplied tanks and what have you. And then we were 2 days out of Manila when I got the radio message. All troops heading north stop and return to port. The United States had dropped an atomic bomb on Japan. You know, an atomic bomb. What the hell's an atomic bomb? You know, these atomizers that we had, you know, that was the closest thing we could get to an atomic. We didn't know what it was.
Freddie, there's a great deal of controversy about the legitimacy of dropping the bomb on...
Thank God for Harry Truman.
Yeah.
The buck stops here.
You have no second thoughts about... No.
After what they did to us at in Hawaii.
You're thinking of that ship that sank too, and those men, that was taking place again and again and again.
And if we'd had to attack Japan, they were ready for us. They had tunnels, they had supplies. How many American lives would have been lost?
Would have been
maybe
lost.
I couldn't have been here.
Japanese lives as well.
Oh yeah, well I didn't care about the Japanese lives, just the American lives.
Yeah. Freddie, you have a picture of some of your crew members. Let's show these on the video here.
This is the deck crew. Although I'm in there.
Yeah. Why don't you put that up? Here, we'll put it here. So, and that's the deck crew.
Yeah. This was, you know.
How many men on the ship altogether?
52.
52.
4 officers and 38 enlisted men.
Now, you're not considered a deck crew.
Oh no.
No.
I was an officer.
You're not.
Petty officer.
Okay. And
this is the deck crew again.
Okay, this is the deck crew, and this is when you were at Lady?
Yeah.
Philippines?
Yeah, on leave.
Yeah, on leave, huh?
24-hour pass.
A 24-hour pass.
We go ashore with our beer.
Yeah.
We were allowed a can of beer a day, but you couldn't drink it on board. So you accumulated this. And then when you got on leave, you brought the cases along and you drank it.
So how many cans did you carry on with you?
Well, as many as we could. Yeah. Good old American beer.
Yeah, is that right, huh?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
And another picture of your crew?
Yeah.
Okay. Back when you were young, huh?
Yeah, 19, 20.
Yep, 19, just a bunch of kids, really.
Still wet behind the ears.
Yeah. And this is a picture of your crew.
This is on the, see the bow doors are open.
Yeah.
And the ramp is down.
Okay, so you're standing on the ramp there. That's the ramp that would be crossed by the tanks when they were coming on or going off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And MacArthur didn't like it because, I think it's an Ellison that brought him in. He had to walk in water in order to get on the beach.
Yeah.
The ship didn't go all the way up.
That's the famous picture of him.
And he got his feet wet.
Yeah. Well, you sound like you're not particularly in love with MacArthur.
No. I shall return, not we. I shall return. And the Filipinos loved him because he got the Filipinos everything.
Yeah.
And they hated us. Oh, we call them the gooks.
Yeah.
They didn't like us at all.
And here we have one.
Well, that's my famous Radio Shack.
Yeah. And you spent a lot of time there.
A lot of time.
Yeah. That's a pretty important job.
Oh yeah.
A lot of pressure on you on that job.
Well, you couldn't make any mistakes. And it wasn't words. It was groups of letters, 5 letters. And it's da 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 da, and you type 25 to 30 words a minute.
Yeah.
For 8 hours, and of course nobody's allowed to come over and distract us.
Continuous flow of information going in and out. Is that right, huh?
Yeah. And then when you get a message addressed to us, hey, your ears perked up, and then you went downstairs into the wardroom. You got out the decoder out of the safe, and you
decoded the messages?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Is that right?
So
not only did you receive the basic information, but then you had to decode it for your officers to utilize.
Yeah.
You had a big job?
Not really.
Well?
Not any more than any of the others.
Yeah.
We were in constant touch with us. Let's see, this is the Radio Shack.
Yeah.
This is the room where you steered the ship.
Yeah.
And then this is the conning tower, where the captain was. He ran the thing.
Yeah.
We had a voice tube. You can't see it. We could yell up and he could hear us.
Yeah. So that wasn't one of these all-purpose communication centers.
Oh, no. Compared to what they have today, oh my gosh. Radio equipment all around, and of course the big thing.
You didn't have that.
No.
You had a radio tube going down to the different levels, and they in turn had to pass on the information.
And today they have sonar, and they have Well, it's quite different today.
Yeah. You had a picture of, I thought we had a picture here of...
Right here, the three of us.
Okay, of the three of you.
This was taken in San Diego in before we went overseas, the three guys. And this is 60 some odd years later.
Yeah.
I was in Ohio.
What a great picture. Oh, look at that.
A lot of water over the dam between
Yeah.
all a little bit fatter.
Okay, and
less
where
air.
are you in there, Ferdy?
Right here.
Oh, I realize that.
This
Where
is
are
skinny.
you? Oh, I can see it. Same position. huh?
Same order.
Same position.
And he's belly robber. He was the cook.
Yeah.
And he was my number 2 man in the radio
Yeah.
shack, Jack Coons.
What a great picture. And I know you've been very involved in getting together with your veteran
Yeah.
friends.
Every year we get together.
Okay, and
Rehash.
how about this picture
Oh,
here?
this was
Yeah, let's get that one down. And how about this
that was
picture?
in San Diego.
Yeah.
He went home. He was married, so he went home early.
Yeah,
When we got in San Diego, he heard that we were down in San Diego. He came down with his wife,
yeah.
and we had just one of the in Hollywood.
And here is,
That was taken a couple of years ago, I think in Charleston.
that's your veteran group?
Yeah.
Yeah?
This guy here, he was a seaman second. That's as low as you could get, seaman second. And he'd get a promotion at the seaman first. That's 2 stripes.
Yeah.
Not an officer, not a petty officer.
Yeah.
Still a seaman. An officer you had a stripe. And he'd get promoted to seaman first. He'd get in trouble, get drunk, get into a fight, demoted.
It was on a,
Up and down.
Yeah, on a
then
helicopter,
He's
huh?
the one. His job was that when we were going into the landing on the beach, the bow doors were bolted with great big nuts, and you had to have a wrench to open the doors to take this so that the doors would open. He dropped the wrench in the water. Captain Farmer, get that GD wrench! You got to open the doors. We're going to land. And he went out and got the wrench and opened the door.
Yeah.
But then, so he got out of the service, seaman second.
yeah.
We met him, our first cruise, Danny O'Brien. And I said, how'd you do, Danny? He said, oh, I did pretty good. He says, got married, went to college, principal of a high school for 20 years, some odd years, ran for mayor of some city in California.
Is that right?
Elected for 2 terms.
Is that right, yeah?
And he's very, very active in the American Legion in California.
So he couldn't hold on to a wrench, but he did all right.
Did all right, yeah.
Freddie, did you take any of your skills from the military and utilize it after you got out of the service?
No.
No, never used that radio skill or technology?
No.
No. What was your most memorable experience in the military?
When we came back, now we hadn't been home for 2.5 years. No leaves except for letters, communications.
Yeah.
Telephone calls were very, very sparse. We couldn't afford it. We left. Well, I wasn't. We were in San Diego. We landed in San Diego, and the captain beats that thing way up, so they had trouble getting it off, and we got off. And then there were points. If you were married, so many years in the service, and what have you, those you were allowed to go home. And I was senior radio man on ours, so I was going home. And Jack, my number 2 guy, right here, Coons, he was engaged. He wanted to get married. He said, "Oh, Ferd," he said, "you got to let me go home ahead of you." I said, "Hey, Jack, I want to go home just as bad as you." And he pleaded, "Oh, please." So I said, "Okay, I'll flip you for it. 30 days. I flip you for it." I lost.
You lost, so he got home first.
He went home. He got married.
Yeah.
And then.
And how about you? You had to fly over from.
I had to wait another 30 days
Yeah.
before I could go home, and they had to get his replacement. And then we were shipped in cattle cars. They called them cattle cars.
Yeah. On a train cross country.
On a train. 5 days.
5 days.
No air conditioning. Hot. The food was terrible. We get to Springfield here. You know where the Paramount Theater is?
Okay.
There's
On Main
railroad
Street,
yards
yeah.
there. We were there for 5.5 hours, just sitting there in the heat. I begged our captain, let me go out and call my mother. You know, my mother wouldn't have time to come over. I begged, pleaded on my knees. You can't, you got to stay here. Orders are orders. Then I get to Fargo Building in Boston. They want me to re-enlist. No way.
Freddie, you have a very interesting and a very beautiful scene that we've talked about when you, on your way home. Now, you took a taxi home, you said?
Oh, yeah. Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Hey, I wanted to get home. And, of course, my father worked at Uniroyal. At the time, it was Fisk. You're going to make me cry.
Making tires there at the old Fisk plant.
Yeah. And he worked in the dirtiest hole at the
lamp black and all that rubber.
Black, yeah.
Yeah. So they got terribly dirty every single day.
Yeah, and I knew the place because I had been office boy there for a year and a half before I went into the service. So I knew all the departments. So I went to the guard and I said, hey, can I get on and see my dad? Sure, what department? He said, mill room. He said, okay, go ahead. So I went down.
Were you in uniform?
My whites.
In your whites?
In my whites. And
so you're getting home for the first time?
Yeah. And then of course, my dad spotted me and.
So he was on his job.
Oh yeah,
working.
And he hugged me.
And he saw you coming in the door. Never expected you.
No. Dirty hands and all. When I got home, I was dirty. And my mom said, "Oh, you went to see your father?" I said, "Yes, Mom."
What was the reaction of your fellow workers?
Everything stopped. Everybody stopped.
Everybody stopped. The whole operation stopped. The whole operation. Well, your dad hugged you with his black hands and.
My son is home.
Yeah. What a beautiful scene, Freddie.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful scene.
And, I see these kids today, where although when we left, we left happy. I wanted to go.
Yeah.
Today, I don't know if these kids want to go the way we had.
Well, they're there. Like they're serving us.
Like I said,
with the same kind of dangers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you left your dad, you went home, and then your mom.
I had my sea bag.
Yeah.
And my mother said, "Don't you dare bring that in the house," because we had cockroaches on board ship. She emptied it out in the backyard, shook out she didn't want any cockroaches in the house. Well, we had loaded with cockroaches.
Oh, dear. Well, you had quite an experience, Ferd.
Yeah. Worked for Uncle Sam.
Yeah. You went out. You went out into the service, a kid, really.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Kid.
And I know your family, your sisters, and I'm sure that you were really a kid when you left.
Thing, I don't know if I should say this. I had fixed with my sister Flo. If I ever wrote her a letter, dearest Flo,
Yeah.
There's a message. Every other letter on the end told them where I was.
Oh. So you were telling.
But they could never find it. Like Subic Bay.
Wasn't there a saying in the war that loose lips sink
ships? Oh yeah. Oh, and I wrote to my mother in French, and our communications officer Leighton didn't understand French. He said, "What are you writing?" I said, "I write to my mother. What are you telling her? That I love her?" And I had trouble getting it.
Getting it through.
Yeah.
Yeah. But different senses.
Yeah. And the thing, our first leave in Norfolk, Virginia, you went on leave, and there's these picture fronts where there's 3 sailors at a bar, and all you did was just stuck your head in the thing. And the guy, and my mother guy said, "Oh my gosh, he's drinking. He's drinking." Oh.
Kind of, it was difficult for parents back at home to recognize that their kids were no longer kids. They're coming back, men and women. Huh?
And happy to leave home.
Yeah. And also very happy to get back, huh?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Freddie, we're just going to extend our interview briefly here to see if we can get some kind of an idea about what you did once you got out of the service, or you're back home now and you reestablished yourself.
There was 2 weeks where you visited your sisters, you visited relatives, you're still wearing your uniform, you're proud of your battle ribbons and your rank. And then there was a 52-20 club where you could get $20 a week for 52 weeks, to get you up. So I collected it for 2 weeks. Then I went to work as a laborer for a construction a guy in Aldenville, Henry Morin. And of course, my mother, she didn't want that. She wanted me to go to college.
Yes.
So, met a girl whose father was a bricklayer in construction. So, hey, And you know, I was going into construction. Hey, it was a good deal, but I was just a laborer. I wasn't even a carpenter. I was nothing. So anyway, they had all kinds of programs for vets. You could go to school. So anyway, I joined Holyoke High School. Went to carpentry school for 2 months. The government paid for $100 of carpentry school: saws, chisels, a hammer.
They gave you the tools? They paid for the tools?
$100 worth.
$100 worth of tools.
And I still have them. And I went to high school to learn drafting and different, like a 2x4 or 2x6, you know, it's different things.
You had no introduction to carpentry to speak of before that?
No. My mother was so disappointed. She cried. She says, "You don't want to be a carpenter all your life." In Canada, if you had an axe and a hammer and a saw, you were a carpenter. But that was the bottom of the totem pole.
Yeah. She wanted her son to go to college.
Yeah, my brother went to college.
Yeah.
And my father always said, my brother was the most intelligent one, but if he wanted anybody to do something for him, he'd call me. Because my brother wasn't handy.
Isn't that funny, huh?
Yeah.
You weren't tempted. I know you had very generous programs from the government to go to school. You could have gone to school for what, 4 or 5 years perhaps?
Oh yeah.
But you were very happy picking your
as far as the government, they were very good to us when we left the service. All kinds of programs, like that 5220 club. You know, today $20, gee, that's not much, but back in 46, 47, $20 was $20.
Yeah.
Wages were $2 an hour, $1.50 an hour.
Yeah. Did you take advantage of the GI loans?
No.
No. When you built your home?
I did it when I had the money. I bought used secondhand lumber, built a nice house.
Yeah.
I'd like to sell it today, but I don't own it.
Yeah.
I gave it to my kids.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
and they won't let me sell it.
Yeah. So you've lived in Chicopee ever since?
All my life.
So all your life,
I married
Chicopee resident.
I married a bricklayer's daughter.
Yeah.
And I have a brick house, 2 fireplaces.
Yeah.
I got a nice house.
Yeah. Oh, I know you do. Yeah, I've been there. I've been
worked on it.
Privileged to be there. And you're still getting together with your old friends.
This is fun.
You meet how often?
Once a year.
Once a year.
Once a year.
And the reunions take place where?
All over. The guy's in charge. And when it's 55 years, I get a telephone call one night. Frenchie?
They called you Frenchie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said, who's this? He says, don't you remember me? I said, no, keep talking. I couldn't think. It was Jack Coons from Greensburg, Pennsylvania. His wife worked for the telephone company, and she had access to all the calls.
Okay.
So they found a Labrie in Chicopee, and they called me and said,
traced
hey.
you, huh?
Yeah, I said, hey, we've got an organization, join. So I got the information, and I joined, and our first meeting was, oh, what a tearjerker.
Yeah.
You're so, what did you do? One guy is fat, one guy is bald, one guy got no teeth. But now
But you remember when you were all slim and kids and in the prime of your lives.
Yeah.
And
we keep in touch.
Of the original crew, how many are still meeting?
Out of 54, we have found 32. 16 have died.
Yeah.
And since we've gotten together, there's 4 or 5 who have died.
Yeah.
And tragic. I mean, young kids.
Yeah.
Wives, children.
Well, life passes on.
But like we went to the last one there, it was in Norfolk, Virginia, and you got our Captain Liebman. He's got Parkinson's.
Tremors, yeah.
Another guy's he had a stroke and he just about walk. Another guy's got a pacemaker and.
But you're still getting together.
Oh yeah.
And kind of in a way, I suppose you love one another.
And Rita comes, and of course she talks with the women. And she, oh, you guys, I usually sit there and drink beer all afternoon and talk about, do you remember this? Do you remember that? And,
after all these years, you're still bringing back all those experiences.
A lot of things we have forgotten about.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Well, it was quite an experience.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it really, in a way, I suppose it shaped your life or your your attitude towards so many things.
Yeah, and I feel my brother-in-law was in the Army, and he was one of the first ones to leave. He was in Guadalcanal, Tulagi, I mean, the mud holes.
Yeah.
He contacted malaria. He slept in mud. Didn't change socks for a month, and he said, "Can you imagine the stink?"
Yeah.
And you know, they didn't have no facilities.
You did what you had to
and
do.
here we had, hey, we lived at the Ritz.
Yeah.
Food, good food every day, vegetables.
In spite of being in the war, you were quite fortunate, weren't
Oh
you?
yeah, oh yeah. Lucky.
Yeah.
A lot of people back home praying for me.
Well, it worked.
Yeah.
And that's great. We're all delighted you made it back, and
yeah.
delighted too that you were able to come here this morning and engage in this
Yeah, and I was lucky.
interview.
I'm still married to my first wife. I call her my first wife.
The first and only.
50. Well, I don't know, but anyway, right now she's my first wife. 57 years.
57 years, huh?
Four nice kids.
Yeah, 57 years. That's wonderful.
7 grandchildren.
Yeah.
And 1 great grandson.
Yeah. Well, you know, when we're through, you're going to have a copy of this tape, and it's one that you'll be able to share with your
My kids?
grandchildren and your great-grandchildren as well.
I hope so.
Okay. Once again,
Okay,
thank
Chuck.
you, Ferdy.
Cut.
It's been our pleasure.
Ooh, it's getting hot in here.